my friend, it's Pat Sloan here for my daily video. It is Saturday and we are going to journal it today. I had a request, which I think was really good last month, to keep track of our quilt making and journaling and have a prompt every month. So maybe 2 prompts some months if we're a little bit crazy and doing a lot of stuff. But today would be the day to get out your method, whatever method it is that you are tracking what you are accomplishing with your quilt making or your cross stitch or your crochet or your knitting, whatever you're keeping track of. So I decided, it's scary, I decided to get the list that I did at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2020. So I got the list out. This is the list of things that needed quilting and need binding, and then ones that are at Cindy and Dennis's. There's a list of like 41 things. I don't know the status of these. I have to go through here and I'll have to make time to do that. But that isn't the only page. We have the other 2 pages. So I was doing a little bit of cross stitch. I didn't do much on there because I'm still sort of getting into that. I did some priority things and then a list of projects that were in progress of some level. Like I have a couple of, like I have at least 2 splendid sampler versions that are in progress. You know, they've not made it into a top. I either want to do more work on them or I need to set them into the top. So anyways, that is this grouping, and there were about, I don't know, 20, I don't know. I don't know what's still on there. So I am going to re-look at this and transfer it over to the smaller journal where I can just pick it up more easily than the other bigger planner from before. So I will just list the things in the journal, and I have the one for cross stitch too. So I'm keeping track of the cross stitch in its own journal where I have completed 1 this year. It's like, it's pretty pathetic, right? Goal will be to do 3 in 2021. Finish? No, more than that. I want to finish some of those that are started. I've got like 5, you know. That's sort of a sideline project. So today you need to take a little time to update your method of tracking. So I've been good at doing my gallery when they're finishing. I have to remember to go in there and do that. So I did have done that. So my gallery with all the things are there. I should put just a picture, like for the Orifal, I should put a picture. I've got a link, but I don't have any kind of picture with it because the tops aren't done yet. All right. So I want to say thank you so much. I had a few cards come in for Christmas that are just lovely. You all are making me like just feel so nice and loved, very loved. This beautiful scarf came from Deb. So Deb sent me, she sent me this super cute card. Look. Unleash the holidays. My mother-in-law and I and my father-in-law, the 3 of us, were dog fanatics. They had dogs and they got me my first dog. So whenever I see dogs, I always think of my in-laws. She also sent me a picture of her gorgeous quilt for the Cozy Things. I like getting the picture. And some See's candy. So I'm gonna hide these from Greg so he can't have these ones. They're gonna be mine. Mine. And then I had a wonderful oh, here, I'll show you. You can't even see what I'm doing down here, can you? So a really pretty box, and inside, pink and red. And look. This is from, oh, I have to look in the card. So this is from, Len and Lou, and her husband made me one of those custom seam rippers so that Jack is quite dapper. Look at that. And it's red. He made me a red one. Thank you, Lou. Or Len. Wait, so it'd be Len, right? And this got a stiletto on one end, so you pull it out, and it has a seam ripper on the other end. So, and then she sent me also a cute little ornament, which looks like her card with the house. So, so darling. Ah, this is awesome. I'm gonna put the stiletto part back in before I stab myself. So there, look at that. I am going to try that today because I'm sure I'll have to rip a seam if I'm doing anything. It's just the way it is. I also have these other absolutely lovely, beautiful cards. And this one is from Robin. So it's so precious. I love it. It's going to go up on the mantle. I had two Mary Engelbright cards, and they're just like, oh, they're some of my favorites. I love Mary Engelbright. And so this one's from Mary Ann. So cute. Snowmen. I love snowmen too. And the last one here is from Kathy. And Kathy is often on our live chat for the videos. Yes, waving, waving. Thank you so much. These are just so wonderful. I just can't tell you how much. It's just amazing. So let's switch gears. And I have I want to show you my thought process again. Another little thought process is last night was working on the Dear Jane. I decided, okay, the Dear Jane is going to get binding. It's going to get binding now. I'm going to, I listed all the ones that need binding, and then I'll move into basting a couple of the smaller finishes, tops from the flimsies from 2020 to quilt them for the end of the year. But these are all like my late evening projects. So it was about 9:30 last night, and I have the binding done. Whee! So here's the binding for my Dear Jane, and here is the Dear Jane. Let me just hold it up. There we go. So I'm sure if you haven't seen it yet, if you're new, this is one that has been in progress for ages, like forever and a day. I think I started it, I don't know, I'll have to look in my Dear Jane book. It was probably in 1998 or something like that. So, I'm sure over 20 years ago. And I set the Dear Jane blocks, which are from a book about the Civil War quilt, alternating with the alphabet. Now, I had thought I would put on a sort of interesting label, because when I was when I was making this, I was a really new quilter. Not new, but new to applique for sure. Hadn't done much applique, and I was doing a lot of applique with these by hand. I also did a workshop with Brenda Papadakis with my mother-in-law, and in Gettysburg, Civil War quilt. It was fabulous. We had such a good time. There was a quilt shop at that time there who hosted Brenda to come in for a 2-day workshop and an evening talk. It was fabulous. So I was very hooked. I was in the Dear Jane community, and we also did swaps. So some of the blocks we did as a block swap, and what's so precious to me is I have at least one my mother-in-law signed. I mean, she's a painter, so she knew to sign her blocks on the front. So she signed at least one of her swap blocks, on the front. And now I've got it done. It's got orange peel quilting on it. Let's see if you can see that. See? And it was like 9:30 last night, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to put the binding on. I am not going to worry about a fancy label. I'll just put a regular label. And then I went like, no, no, no. This quilt is this old. I've been working on it this long. I'm this close to being done. I can take another day. I can take another day or two to do this like I really want to do it. I think sometimes when we get tired out, or it's so close to being done, you just like, it's so close that you cut corners. You decide to cut corners. I'm also going to hand bind this one. I usually bind them by the machine, but I'm going to do hand binding on this one, which would mean it'll be a few more days longer for the binding to be done. But let me show you the label that I decided on. And I've got a bunch of stuff on the table here, so I'm trying not to knock it off. I'll pull the camera down here. I have a block that I did early on, and then I redid it because my skills got a little bit better as I went along, but it was probably one of my earliest, smallest hand applique. I had not done much hand applique yet, and so it's pretty crazy. So here it is. Here is my block. This is the Dear Jane block. They're 5 inches, and this beauty, oh boy, you know, it's supposed to like match. Like there's one corner that matched. I have no idea why I chose to, you know, meet one corner and then just didn't bother with the other 3. And they're not very smooth, and I was using white thread. God knows why, because I should be using red thread that matches so that it will blend in. Oh, here, let's get a little closer. So what I did is I had always decided when I pulled this out, and I kept it, that this would be the label. And then I thought, okay, let's just do it. We're going to do it. So I needed to create this big old label. So I put 2-inch strips around so that I can write a story. I want to write the story of this quilt about taking the classes with the author Brenda Papadakis. She is not the maker of the quilt. It was a Civil War. Jane Stickle made the quilt, but Brenda wrote the book in conjunction with the museum that the quilt is in. And then so I want to write all this. I want to write the story around here. And then I put a little outer border. And then I thought, heck, I'm going to save myself a little time, and I'm going to embed it in the binding. Now this also makes it more secure. Your label can't ever be really taken off without somebody really being very careful, because it's going to be in the binding. So I always like that as like a little extra security measure. Like, who knows who would come and try to take my label off my quilt, but you know, people are crazy. So I thought, I am going to stick it in there. So that, my friend, is the story of how the label is getting on here. And now I'm very excited because I can write up. I'm going to first write up what I want to say, and then I will hand write it on there. I have terrible handwriting, but I don't care about that part. I want my handwriting on my quilt. I don't want to type it and all that kind of stuff. I always write it out, and it's messy and it's not really that great, but I am going to type out my story so that I can read it and write it. Because if I just try to write it right on here without having it in front of me, I know I will have something that I said like I don't want, and I'll have to cross it off, and I'm not going to make a new label. So, so I will type it up first and then look at it. So it's Saturday. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Get some sewing in, and I will chat with you again on Monday night. It's Fireside Chat. Come for the live portion if you're watching this, and you can make it Monday nights live. It's super fun. We can chat live, and we do that for about a half an hour prior to the video starting. Links are down below. If you would subscribe, that would make me so happy. Then I can talk to you all the time. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.